Last week, Florida State faced a team that overwhelmed them throughout the game, and Florida State was never able to find its footing in the second half to keep things even competitive with a Georgia team that looks to have national title aspirations. Because of the loss, that all but dashed their chances of an SEC East title. Even though there is no SEC championship in sight this season, there is still one more regular season game to have. The familiar foes from Gainesville host Florida State and hope to end their roller coaster season on a high note. There have been plenty of highs and lows for this Gator team. No national titles will be decided by today's game, but whenever you get two rivals together, you are sure to see a game that's going to have plenty of fireworks. Now, let's go to kickoff. Alex Mastromano is ready to start this game. He boots this one away, and we are underway in Gainesville. Trevor Etienne gets the kick, and he is going to return it to the right side, trying to make a move, but Florida State is able to swarm him, and he will get 18 yards. And that is where Graham Mertz and company are going to start their first drive. He'll make a change at the line immediately, goes from under center to in the shotgun formation, going to spread things out a little bit more. He's got Etienne in the backfield with him, under 10 on the play clock. He's going to hand this off to the outside to Etienne, makes a move, and he's not able to escape the tackler, but 4 yards later, it's a 2nd and 6 for the Gators. 8:30 to go. Handoff with the middle to Montrell Johnson Jr., the two-headed attack of the Florida running backs. It's always tough to contain, and we'll see how Florida State is able to reel them in today, but a first down later for the Gators. Under center for Mertz, man in motion, handoff to Etienne. He's going to have some room to the outside, but he's brought down again, this time after 5 yards, and this Florida offense is staying on schedule so far. Another run to the outside, it's Montrell Johnson who runs over a would-be tackler. First down, Florida as they approach midfield. 1st and 10, Graham Mertz dropping back, first pass of the day, moves in the pocket, finds his tight end Zipperer, he'll get 3 yards, and it's 2nd and 7 for the Florida offense. Mertz under center again, they do quite a bit of work from under center and hands it off to Etienne who's slowed, and then Conrad Hussey, the true freshman safety, comes up there and stops him to force a 3rd and 6 for Florida. Mertz drops back, quick drop, and he misses his man cutting over the middle of the field. That forces a punt, and Florida State will take over in a little bit of an offset look. Travis and Benson in the backfield. They fake the handoff to Benson, and Travis tries to run to the right, and he goes down for a loss of a yard. This will bring up 2nd and long for the Florida State offense. That still has to have some scars after that Georgia game. Quick pass out to the right on a screen to Keon Coleman. He's able to dash down the sidelines for 15 yards. And Florida State is able to get an easy first down, which, you gotta push those easy buttons whenever they're available. Then there's a run to the outside by Benson, but he's brought down for a loss of 3 yards, and Florida State struggled so much last week running the ball, they have got to try and find a way to establish that. Travis dashes out to the right, finds his big target, Johnny Wilson, for 32 yards, and he's able to get close to the 25-yard line for Florida, and the offense is in business. About 5 minutes to go in this first quarter. Handoff to Lawrence Toafili. He goes straight ahead for about 5 yards, and that sets up a 2nd and manageable for the Florida State offense. Another handoff, this time up the middle to Benson. Benson finds 5 yards of his own, but it's still a 3rd and short that they're going to need to convert on this drive to keep it going. Luckily, Benson's able to find a room, get 3 yards of his own, burst down Florida State. They're looking here, trying to take early blood from Florida. This is a screen pass to Rodney Hill, and he falls forward almost for a first down, but 9 yards will get them to a 2nd and 1. Shotgun look for Travis, and this goes up the middle to Benson, and he will be about a yard short, gets down to about the half-inch line, but now it's 1st and goal, Florida State, under center for Travis. He's going to sneak it, doesn't even get tackled, just pushes forward, keeps his legs moving, and Florida State takes an early 7-0 lead. That is a touchdown, Jordan Travis. And Graham Mertz and company now have a 7-0 deficit that they're going to have to overcome early on here. Mertz is under center again, this time with Etienne in the backfield. Livingston is in motion. They're going to hand off to Etienne, and he'll find some room up the middle. There's 13 easy yards for Trevor Etienne, and he is off to a nice start. He's found some nice room along with Montrell Johnson. Another man in motion for Florida this time. Hand off to Etienne. He'll make one cut to the left, and he'll only get 2 yards this time, setting up a 2nd and 8 for Florida. Mertz hands off again, this time to Montreal Johnson. He'll work his way to the outside, doesn't have all the room that he thought, still sets up a 3rd and short for the Florida offense. Mertz drops back and he finds Ricky Pearsall, one of his favorite receivers, this time for 9 yards. Mertz finds his familiar place under center, handing off to Etienne, and Etienne breaks off one tackler, taken down by the next one, but that will be almost 10 yards of gain and a 2nd and inches for Florida, and Florida State's defense is looking very vulnerable against the run so far. Hand off to the outside to Montreal Johnson. He'll just throw down a Florida State defender. It looked like he was embracing contact, wasn't even trying to avoid him, and 15 yards later it's a 1st down for Florida. Hand off to Etienne. He finds room to the outside, and there's plenty there as usual, and that's another almost 10 yards again on the ground for the Florida offense. Mertz drops back this time again, moves around in the pocket, and it finds the dirt. Wasn't even close to a receiver. 3rd and inches, though, is a handoff to Etienne, and Etienne almost gets down to about the 5 or 6 yard line, and now they have 1st and goal from here with time ticking down in the 1st quarter. About 10 seconds to go. Montreal Johnson shakes off 1 guy, 2 guys, 3 guys into the end zone. 7-yard score for Montreal Johnson Jr. And Florida is able to respond with a touchdown of their own. We now have a 7-7 game after the touchdown from Montreal Johnson Jr. Florida State will get the ball back with 7 seconds left in the 1st quarter. See if they can do anything before then. Run to the outside for Toafili, puts the spin move on him, and he is able to get 1st down yardage. And in style, Florida State goes to the end of the 1st quarter, but the Sunshine State Showdown today is tied up at 7. Both teams have found some success early on in their offensive game plans. We'll see if the defenses are able to make any plays later on in the 2nd quarter. First play of the quarter, it's a handoff to Rodney Hill. He gets stacked up for no gain, but no loss. 2nd and 10, Florida State now. Travis in the shotgun, takes a quick drop, fires to the sidelines, and drops it in the bucket to Winston Wright. The senior receiver gets 23 yards closer for Florida State, and now they're operating from about the 40-yard line. Benson in the backfield with Travis. He fires this time. Keon Coleman to the sidelines. 11 yards later, Florida State has another 1st down, trying to keep Keon Coleman involved early. Travis drops back, fires this time to the opposite side. It's Jaheim Bell. He's got all the room in the world to the sidelines. He'll find the end zone 31 yards later, and that is a touchdown for the Florida State tight end, Jaheim Bell. Graham Mertz now. Gonna need to respond again like they did after the last Florida State touchdown. Handoff to Etienne, and he is able to go down this time after 6 yards, but they are not going down on 1st contact. They are running hard. It is one of their last games in the swamps. They want to make it count. Graham Mertz losing his footing. He gets brought down this time for a sack by Gilbert Edmond, and this will bring up a long 3rd down for Florida. It'll be 3rd and 12. Long way to go for an offense that's been relying a lot on the run early on. Could be very dangerous, and that's not what you want to do on 3rd and 12, because that false start will now make it 3rd and 17 for a Florida offense that has had not a lot of success through the air. Mertz drops back, throws off balance, and that'll be a no-gain pass for them. And that 4th and 17 is going to lead to a punt for Florida, and it's going to give the ball back to the Florida State offense that has gotten everything it's wanted so far. Counter look this time to Rodney Hill. He'll get 5 yards this time. 2nd and 5, Florida State. Now it's time for Travis in the pistol this time. He's going to have 1 back behind him. Going to have the handoff to Benson. He's got some room to the outside. He isn't able to turn upfield for anything positive. Doesn't lose anything though, but 3rd and 5, opportunity for Florida to get off the field. Fakes the handoff to the running back, and Jordan Travis able to work up the field for almost 10 yards. But his 9 yards will get him a 1st down and leads to a 2-back look, this time with Benson and Toafili accompanying him. They're going to give the handoff to Toafili. He's got room up the middle and could not accelerate away, but he will be 13 yards closer to a touchdown for Florida State and gets them a brand new set of downs. Same look this time with the 2 halfbacks for Florida State. Travis drops back this time, throws it over the middle of the field to Jaheim Bell, and it is picked off by the Florida safety. Makes a beautiful play on the ball, and Jaheim Bell just drifted a little too far and did not come back to it. Poorly thrown ball, though, leads to an interception, and R.J. Moten for Florida gives the ball back to the Gators and gives them a chance to tie this one up again. Under 5 minutes to go in the half. Mertz rolls out to the left, tries to fire, and he is way off. Has not looked good so far for this Florida offense, but They are going to need some magic to happen on that side of the ball if they want to have a chance, because Florida State is clearly trying to key it on the run when they can. Play action look to Mertz. He fires over the middle and he misses his man by 1.5 miles, and it is 3rd and 10 for an offense struggling through the air. Drops back again, gets good protection, but he's hit, and the pass is broken up by the Florida State DBs. 4th and 10 and another punt for the Florida offense, and giving the ball back to Florida State and their potent offense that has faced very little resistance except on that interception. 1st and 10 for Travis and company. He's got Benson in the backfield who's going to get this counter look. He tries to spin away from the defender, but will only get 5 yards, but it's 2nd and 5, Florida State now. Toafili in the backfield. Fakes the handoff to him on a read option, and Travis almost escapes, but he'll take his 14 yards to get Florida State a new set of downs, 1st and 10. Handoff up the middle to Benson, tries to work his way to the outside, but he'll still have 1st down yardage himself. 84 yards rushing total for Florida State. They have been pounding the ball just as much as Florida on the ground so far, and both teams have had a lot of success. Benson tries to work his way to the outside, but loses 5 yards on that run. Florida State will now face a 2nd and 15. A tough conversion is going to lie ahead for them. Thrown over the middle to Portier on the slant route. 14 yards on 2nd and 15 brings up a 3rd and 1. Short yardage situation. We'll see if Florida State can convert and keep the drive going. Handoff up the middle to Toafili, and he will not get there. And it will bring up a 4th and 1. And Florida State looks to the sidelines. They are going to go for it. They have their big back Benson in, seeing if he can pick up the tough yards. And he does not have a lot of room. He's getting piled up and almost loses a yard. Anyways, on 4th and 1, that's going to give the ball back to Mertz in Florida. And they will have a chance once again to tie this game up before halftime. We're looking at 2 minutes to go in the half. Etienne cuts up the middle and then cuts back to the outside again. That's 20 more yards. And their run offense has been much more dynamic than their passing offense, and you wonder why they're even bothering to pass the ball at this point. Mertz throwing, and he hits Ricky Pearsall. He wanted to just show me on that one. Fires a bullet for 20 more yards of their own, and Florida's offense 2 big plays later is at the 25-yard line. Mertz drops back, gets hit as he throws, and this one will find the safety of out of bounds to bring up a 2nd and 10 for Graham Mertz and company. Man in motion for the Florida offense. Drops back, looks, finds over the middle Zanders. That slant route for 12 yards will give Florida 1st and 10 as they are inside the red zone and a chance to tie this one up before the half. Mertz throws to the outside, and that will be out of bounds as well. 2nd and 10. Florida State really needing to key in if they want to keep this lead before halftime. Minute 17 to go. Run up the middle to Etienne, and he gets piled up a little bit this time. Doesn't have quite as much room as he usually has been. 4 yards later, it's a 3rd and 6 for the Florida offense. Mertz drops back, short drop back, fires to Ricky Pearsall. He'll be 2 yards short, and unlike Florida State, Florida is not going to risk it. They are going to kick the field goal. They're going to wait and see if they can make this a 14-10 game with a successful field goal attempt. The kick is up. It is good, and that will give Florida State a 14-10 lead now that has been cut into 29 seconds to try and make something happen before the half. Travis drops back, fires and hits Keon Coleman. He had a lot of room, and he's able to break off the first bit of contact, runs up the field, and gets them a nice chunk play, 1st and 10. Another screen pass. Coleman will get it again, and he's running down a familiar sideline 18 yards later. Florida State is down to about the 35-yard line. After a man in motion, Travis runs to the right, fires and hits Jaheim Bell, and he isn't able to escape the defender this time. 19 yards later, 1st and 10, Florida State in the red zone now. Travis has an empty shotgun look, gets decent protection, but going to be hit as he throws and finds Winston Wright on a beautiful in-breaking route from 16 yards out. And the senior wide receiver, Winston Wright, gets the touchdown. And that's a great way to go into the half as Florida State is able to go take that 21-10 lead now. And they have to feel good about how they've ended the half, and especially how they've looked on offense. The Florida defense has had no answer, whether it's on the ground or in the air. It's been the ground game for Florida that's buoyed them, though. Both teams have had a lot of success on the ground so far, and I would expect both teams to have to stay there. But Florida State's huge edge in the passing yards department is what has led them to this big lead, and despite that turnover, has been their only blemish. First play in the third quarter now for Florida State. fakes the handoff on a read option. Travis out to the left. He's got running room. He's to the 40, the 30, the 20, the 10, 5, touchdown Florida State, and a touchdown for the senior leader, Jordan Travis, on a beautiful read option look. Busts his first huge run of the season and is able to give Florida State a commanding 28-10 lead. It's pressure on for Florida, seeing if they can stay in this one. Trevor Etienne gets the handoff and is able to get 6 yards of his own, but they're going to need to be a little more explosive if they want to get back in this one quick. Handoff to Montrell Johnson, the complement to Etienne. He'll get about 15 yards of his own, and they're crossing the 50-yard line already. Florida doing things their way. Pass to Pearsall, and Pearsall will get about 15 yards of his own. First down, Florida, and they are rolling really quick, and now their offense looks a lot more in sync than they did for a lot of the first half. 7:50 to go in the third quarter. Mertz moving around the pocket and finds his old reliable receiver, Ricky Pearsall. He's been dicing up the defense so far and able to find a lot of weak points. Florida's at a good part where they should be able to run the ball, and that's going to be a handoff to Etienne. He has plenty of room at the middle, and he will get inside the 5-yard line, probably down to the 3 or the 4, and that crosses the 100-yard threshold for Etienne. First down, Florida. Mertz looking to the end zone and fires through and actually hits the crossbar. It'll be 2nd and goal for Florida, now from about the 5-yard line. 2nd and goal, 7:22 remaining. Mertz is going to drop back into a pistol look, handoff to Etienne, trying to find room to the outside, and they are able to keep him to about a 2-yard gain, and now they're between the 2 and 3-yard line, 3rd and goal. Got to imagine Florida, got to try and find something quick and easy, see if they can get the ball in the end zone from here. He's going to get hit, and Mertz goes down, and that pass falls to the ground harmlessly, and Florida State is able to get the stop, forces another field goal, 28-13 Florida State. Counter to Benson. Benson's able to work his way back to the middle of the field for 13 yards, and they've had a lot of success so far with those counter looks in the run game. Toafili in the backfield. He has a counter of his own, this time to the opposite side. He works to the middle, 14 yards of his own, and all these Florida State running backs are getting great looks, and you can't stop him at this point. No reason for Florida State to stop. Rolls out to the right, and Travis is able to slide down. He will be a yard short of the yard to gain, but he gets down to safety without taking a hit, and now Rodney Hill joins Travis in the backfield. 2nd and 1, another counter that Hill puts another spin move on a Florida defender in the middle of the field. 18 yards later, and Rodney Hill has his best run of the day, and they have continued to pound away at Florida in the run game. Now in the pass game, Travis rolls out to the right, doesn't see anything that he likes, throws it away, and that is the first ball that has hit the ground for Travis. His other incompletion was on an interception. Hill tries to spin away from a defender on the counter. 6 yards later, 3rd and 4 for Florida State. Still manageable, but going to be a tough conversion for him. Benson in the backfield. He'll get the handoff. He's dashing up the middle. 10 yards later, 1st and goal, Florida State. Pistol look for Travis. He's going to hand off to Benson. He's got a lot of room to the outside. He will run it very wide, and he is able to find the end zone, and that is a touchdown for the old reliable running back, Trey Benson, as this will be probably one of his final games in a Florida State uniform, and he does it in style by putting Florida State on the board and giving them a lead of 35-13. Graham Mertz and the Florida offense need something to happen here, and that was Fentrell Cypress making an amazing play on the ball, diving to bat that down, and Florida is facing a 2nd and 10 with about 4:45 left in the quarter. Dumps it off to his tight end, and his tight end will only get 6 yards, and now it's a 3rd and 4 for the Florida offense. Drop back for Mertz, tries to find someone to the outside, and Zanders will have just enough to give Florida a first down. Mertz is in the shotgun this time. He has Etienne in the backfield. Man in motion, they get pretty good protection, and throws it away out to the right. Wasn't even near his receiver, but doesn't put it in harm's way. Mertz finds himself back under center this time with Etienne getting the handoff, having a little bit of room to the outside. He's patient enough to get 7 yards. But another 3rd down is where Florida's going to live, and it's tough always picking up these conversions, but they've done a decent job today, but only the 13 points is a lot to show for it. Mertz drops back, gets decent protection, and just has to throw it away, is not able to find his man, and a 4th down leads to a punt, and now Travis and company are back in the pistol, hand off to Toafili to the outside. He tries to put a spin move on, and the Florida defender is able to wrap him up after 3 yards to gain. 2nd and 7. Hand off to Benson. He works his way up the middle of the field 4 yards later, and it's a 3rd down for Florida State. Big opportunity for Florida to get off the field. Giving yourself a chance is all you want to do. And here's a run to Benson, and he has plenty of running room up Broadway 12 yards later. And Florida has been unable to stop the Florida State running game that has consistently been breaking off runs like that. Travis runs to the outside, and he gets brought down and fumbles the ball, and it's a scrum, and it'll be the Florida State offensive lineman Darius Washington who comes up with the fumble. It'll be nothing lost, but nothing gained, 2nd and 10. Fakes the handoff to the running back, and Travis will slide down a yard short. 3rd and 1 for the Florida State offense, and with the way they've been cooking, I don't think they really care what down it is. This time it'll be a handoff to Keziah Holmes. The oft-used running back gets in there for a couple of yards, 4 to be exact, and that will be a 1st down. Under center again for the Florida State offense. Travis drops back, fires and hits Keon Coleman. He'll have a few yards after the catch. 13 yards later, and we're looking at a 1st down, Florida State. Under a minute to go in the 3rd quarter. Travis is in that familiar pistol look. Play action pass, fires and hits Jaheim Bell. The tight end has been making some great moves to the outside and beating the defenders to the wide side of the field, and that face mask penalty will give them more yardage and get them pretty dang close to the 10-yard line as Florida State has 10 yards to go. Travis with the snap, rolls out to the right, has some room, and hits Winston Wright. That'll be about 3 yards, not a lot of gain, but every yard counts when you're this close to the end zone. Fires on a screen pass to Johnny Wilson. His 2nd reception of the day is going to go for a -2 yards, and Florida State will face a 3rd and long nearing the end zone. But that will bring an end to the quarter as Florida State is up 35-13, entering the final quarter of regular season play for the season for Florida State. So they just need to close and finish this one off against their hated rivals. 3rd and 9 snap to Travis. He rolls out to the right. He's got plenty of room. He's going to dump this off to Johnny Wilson. After that ill-advised screen pass, they make it up and get Johnny Wilson a 10-yard score. He's able to do it himself, and the big 6'7" receiver gets into the end zone for a touchdown and gives Florida State a 42-13 lead. This one may be insurmountable for the Florida offense with how they've looked. Mertz fires and hits Dante Zanders. He'll pick up a big chunk of 28 yards to his name and give Florida some positive field position as they've begun the drive looking nice. Pump fake by Mertz. He'll hit Marcus Burke this time. 7 yards later, 2nd and 3 for Florida. That'll be the first catch from Marcus Burke today. Mertz in the shotgun. He's joined by Trevor Etienne. He's got some good protection. He'll hit Burke again, his 2nd catch in a row, this time for 12 yards and a 1st down. Under center for Mertz. He drops back. He finds Ricky Pearsall. Who else? And he dives towards the end zone, breaks off a tackle, and is able to get down to about the 1 yard line. Really nice run by him, and now it'll be a pistol look for Florida. They'll see what they can do from this look. Mertz gets good protection and throws, and it's almost picked off by Shaheem Brown, trying to get his 2nd diving interception in 2 games, but it will lead to a 2nd and goal for Florida. Handoff to Trevor Etienne, and he gets lit up, loses a yard, and now it's 3rd and goal. And the pocket's getting a little murky as that's Daryl Jackson, the big defensive tackle, is able to work his way inside and bring down Mertz. He'll go down for a sack, and now Florida is going to go for it on 4th and goal, down 42-13, might as well. He's got good protection, drops it off to Trevor Etienne. With the game he's had, he deserves a touchdown for Trevor Etienne. He has been a workhorse for this offense so far, but it's probably a little bit too late for that offense, but good to see that they're still fighting. First play for Florida State on this drive. They have Wilson in motion. Johnny Wilson in his big 6'7", 245 frame is able to work his way for 6 yards, and Florida State is already working clock. 2nd and 4. Benson up the middle. He gets a nice burst for 21 yards, his best run of the day. And Florida State is moving again, but clearly taking their time, trying to run as much time as they can on the clock. No reason to try and extend this one out anymore. You've already out-physicaled Florida the entire game today, and might as well just keep running it down their throats if you can. Lawrence Toafili continues that trend with 9 more yards of his own, 2nd and 1. 5 minutes to go. Keziah Holmes will get a carry. 3 yards later, and all 4 Florida State running backs have gotten in on the action, getting multiple carries and finding a lot of success. Benson runs to the outside on this look from power. 5 yards later, 2nd and 5. Handoff to Rodney Hill. He gets 7 yards, and Florida State is just rotating running backs one after the other. It's hard to keep up when they're staying so fresh, and Florida State has worn down this Florida defense completely. Rodney Hill tries another spin move. He'll only get 7, but a 2nd and 3 keeps them in very manageable situations as we're under 3 minutes and 30 seconds. Counter to Benson. He's trying to find room all the way to the outside, and he'll get brought down 2 yards short. 1st and goal, Florida State. Under center for him. Benson tries to make it up the middle. He'll lose a yard, though, and he'll be between the 2 and 3 yard line. Pistol look with Lawrence Toafili behind him on this play. 3:20 to go. And Toafili spins his way into the end zone, doesn't even get touched. 3 yards later, and Lawrence Toafili finds himself in the end zone, and Florida State finds themselves with a 49-20 lead in a big rivalry game in a response to how they looked against Georgia last week. ETN up the middle this time for 3 yards, 2nd and 7 for Florida. Another carry by ETN. He'll get 1st down yardage, 10 more yards, and 1st and 10 for Florida. Under center for Mertz, Livingston in motion, fakes the handoff, they'll dump it off to Livingston. He has a 3-yard catch to his name, 2nd and 7, under 2:30 to go. ETN, he'll get a run up the middle, he'll get 1st down yardage, and that's 185 yards rushing for Florida. And just in comparison to what you've seen from Florida State, it's been 2 teams that have been running the ball so effectively. And again, on that note, Montrell Johnson will add 13 yards to that name, and Florida will be a couple yards short of 200 yards rushing today so far. 1st and 10. Run up the middle by Johnson, and there will be that 200-yard threshold that the Florida team has passed rushing, but it's not going to help out on the scoreboard as they're still down 49-20, under 2 minutes to go. Mertz under center, drops back, tries to do something with the ball, but he ends up throwing it away again as he's approaching 50% passing on the day, so accomplishments. 2nd and 10. Mertz looks for a read option, and then he gets dropped down. He'll only get 2 yards, and the clock keeps on ticking. And this will probably be Florida's last possession of the day. They've already used all their timeouts on Florida State's last possession, so can't stop the ball anymore. Minute 15 to go. 3rd and 8. Big opportunity for Florida to keep the drive going. Hits Marcus Burke, and he drags his way to within a yard of the line to gain. 4th and 1. Under center, you would imagine it's going to be a run. It is to ETN. He runs hard still for 7 more yards and gets them to a 1st and goal from the 5-yard line, seeing if they can punch in one last touchdown. Gilbert Edmond works his way inside and able to stop Montrell Johnson for no gain. 2nd and goal. Mertz with the drop back. Fires, and that is off the mark, and that will now bring up a 3rd and goal for Florida. Shotgun snap to Mertz. He's not going to get there. He gets brought down by the sack by Kalen DeLoach. And without any timeouts remaining, there will be no way for Florida to stop the clock. And this one is going to be over. Mertz and company look on as they see Florida State celebrating a rivalry victory as Jordan Travis did not throw the ball a ton, but had total command of the offense and really ends off his regular season college football on a great note today. Well, that was a little better than the Georgia game. It's pretty simple today. The offense looked probably the best they have all season. Jordan Travis's numbers are great. We ran the ball with everyone. Everyone had great days. Look at those yards per carry. Poor Keziah Holmes only got the 2 carries, but I tried to rotate everybody in pretty much the 4th quarter and just keep everybody fresh. Don't want any injuries at this point in the season, but everybody looked great. Everybody did a great job there. I was very happy with how all of that turned out. And then with the receiving game, not a lot of flash, but, you did still have Keon Coleman, 5 catches for 80 yards. He got involved. Johnny Wilson got a touchdown. Jaheim Bell, Winston Wright. We could just run the ball, and there was no reason in the game with how quickly we started. We had a lead. We might as well keep the clock running and keep doing our thing. So I wasn't really interested in doing anything other than running the ball at a certain point. And when the passing game did open up, there were plenty of plays to be had, and I think we took advantage when Florida gave us those opportunities. I do want to give Florida some credit, though. Their running game was very impressive behind Trevor Etienne and Montrell Johnson. Both guys almost got over 100, but Montrell Johnson's 10 yards of carry was only good enough for 90 yards, so good on them though. But when you look at the total picture of what these two teams look like, you can see we dominated it on the ground. We had 335 yards rushing and then still had 250 yards passing. I will say that was our best game, probably, as an offense, and then defensively, we were fine. One thing I did want to bring up is if you watched during the game, you may have noticed on the bottom line that it said Georgia lost to Georgia Tech. So a little inside baseball for you guys. When I do the recap shows, I simulate those, or super sim those games after the fact, after I play the main game. So that game hasn't been properly simulated yet. All the important games, I don't leave it up to the simulation engine of NCAA. I do the super sim where I watch the games so that a proper simulation can happen. So don't get too excited about that one. Georgia will still probably win that game, but you will see that in the recap episode of the next video that will come from this channel after this one. I appreciate everybody tuning in. You'll definitely want to check out that recap episode. Even though it doesn't have Florida State implications, there's still some wild things happening. You might get to see if Deion Sanders can make the Pac-12 championship game with Colorado. Crazier things have happened, right? Maybe not. Maybe that is the craziest thing that could happen, but it's still a possibility going into this week. If that sounds interesting, definitely check it out. And as always, go Noles.